What is going on, good people of YouTube? It is me, Chavez, back with another Prize Picks video for you for Friday, March 10th, 2023. We got 6 games in the NBA to talk about here, and this video will serve as our early look and research video where we will dive into a few props that are on the board. Not all props are on the board, pretty limited at this time. But we'll scroll through and just take a look at what's available to us. But we'll also scroll through some rankings, some stats over on lineups.com. And then we'll see if we can identify some positive game environments, some things to look out for. In these early look and research videos, we're looking at a pretty high level view over the slate and not really looking to lock anybody in. With that being said, I hope everybody's doing well. I hope this video finds you all doing well and in good spirits. And without further delay, let's head on over to to lineups.com and take a look at some NBA rankings over these 12 teams on the NBA slate. All right. Starting in no particular order here, I just created some notes. I guess we'll start with the Atlanta Hawks and the Washington Wizards. Taking a look at the Hawks, see what they are allowing as a defense on the year. I mean, 21st in points allowed, 25th in rebounds allowed, 25th in field goals allowed, and 24th in field goal percentage allowed. While the Washington Wizards are quite the opposite, pretty solid across the board. I mean, if you had to nitpick, I guess you would look at the Wizards not causing a lot of turnovers per game, so more of their possessions or the possessions of their opponents resulting in a score, or at least a non-turnover. So I guess that's something you could look at. Heading over to the Portland Trail Blazers and the Philadelphia Phillies. This game is being played in Philly, and let's take a look at what Portland allows as a team on the season. We can see that they rank bottom in the league in terms of assists allowed, field goals made, field goal percentage, and 3-point percentage. All right there for you. And on top of that, they just got through playing a Boston Celtics team that put it on them. I mean, they got stomped by the Celtics a couple of days ago, and now they have to go to Philly and play the 76ers. Ooh, yikes. That's a lot. That's a lot going on. That's one hell of a East Coast trip for the Portland Trail Blazers. Now on the Philadelphia 76ers side, very solid across the board. However, what doesn't show on the ranking sheet is just how the 76ers have been very suspect as a defense over the last 4 games, allowing a ton of points. So outside the last game versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, the 76ers have allowed an average of 133 points per game. Take a look at this. So held the Minnesota Timberwolves to under 100 points, but then the 3 games prior to that, 133 points to Dallas, 130 points to Milwaukee, and 143 points to Indiana. Maybe we get that Dame Lillard game that I thought we were going to get against Boston. Maybe we get that game here against Philly. We'll dig into that in the final look video. Heading over to the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Miami Heat. Cleveland, so good across the board. Green. Slight red over 3-point percentage allowed. But man, green across the board. And then with Miami, another very solid team. However, the only thing with Miami, we don't even have to mention this, but I'll say it anyway. They rank bottom of the league in 3-point percentage allowed. So we already know that we can target Miami with opposing 3-point shooters. But aside from that, 2 extremely solid teams battling this one out. And this game has all the makings of a very slow game, with both teams averaging less than 100 possessions per game. So pace of play in this one is going to be at a snail-like pace. Should be a fun game to watch if you're a fan of low-scoring defensive battles. Heading on over to the Brooklyn Nets versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Currently on the season, Brooklyn ranks 25th in 3-point percentage, 24th in rebounds allowed, and tonight they played a very very tough game on the road versus the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Nets were resting a lot of their starters, and the players that they did roll out there who did start only played like 13 minutes. I think Mikal Bridges only played 13 minutes, and they just like emptied their bench the rest of. I mean, David Duke Jr. I don't know who that guy is, but he had himself a nice little game. Yeah, just an odd game. I don't know. Maybe Jacques Vaughn was saving the starters' legs for this game tonight or tomorrow versus the Timberwolves. In terms of Minnesota, scrolling down, we can take a look at their rankings. 28th in rebounds allowed and 24th in 3-point percentage allowed. The last game that they played was, I believe, this game versus the 76ers, the game we just talked about, the game that the 76ers didn't allow 175 points. We can see that Philly has some success with Maxey, Joel Embiid. Remember, Harden didn't play in this game, so Maxey went off for almost 30, and Embiid almost hung 40 points on them. So attacking the Minnesota Timberwolves with the with the 5, and then your backcourt, DeAnthony Melton, Tyrese Maxey, accounting for almost 40 points, over 10 rebounds and 6 assists. And then the last game, well, not last game, second to last game, we'll talk about Denver Nuggets versus the San Antonio Spurs. Denver Nuggets across the board, solid. Number one team in the Western Conference, holding on to that number one seed. They should honestly just run away with this one. However, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some key starters sit for the Nuggets. We're seeing that, happen, a little bit more often as we get closer to the end of the regular season, not wanting to risk injury to your top starters. And then on the San Antonio Spurs side, I mean, who knows what the Spurs will roll out. We'll see, but I don't even think it matters. 30th across the board, pretty much 30th in pretty much everything. And where they're not ranked 30th, they're still ranked towards the bottom of the league in those categories. So pick your poison. Like, how do you want to beat the Spurs? They're really not trying to win games right now, honestly, which is why I just think the Nuggets can probably win this with their second unit guys, to be 100% honest. And then the last game to talk about here is the one that I'm actually really excited about, the most excited to talk about and dig into. It's going to be the Toronto Raptors versus the LA Lakers. You can see here where the Toronto Raptors rank on the year: 28th in field goal percentage, and then 29th in 3-point percentage allowed, 24th in assists allowed. Otherwise, pretty solid team. And then scrolling up here to the Los Angeles Lakers, we can see 28th in rebounds allowed, 28th in field goals made, and 28th in creating turnovers here. 26th in creating turnovers, 28th in creating steal chances, I guess. But, I mean, the Lakers have been on a roll as of late, and all their new players are starting to fit in. They're starting to gel, and now we have D'Angelo Russell coming back. My only question is, what will his role be in this game, and will it help AD or will it cut into his production? Because Anthony Davis has been the catalyst for this this win streak that they're currently on. Again, another must-win game for the Lakers, and should be a fun one to watch. So as we head back into the Prizepicks board, we can just scroll through and see everybody that is on there now without having done any research, not really knowing, where I want to go with my picks tomorrow. I'm not really ready to make, any choices. However, I will say, something I mentioned earlier was just the amount of points that teams have been scoring on Philly as of late. And obviously, when you think of points being scored for the Portland Trailblazers, you got to think of Damian Lillard here, who honestly had a really good game versus the Celtics. He didn't get any run in the fourth quarter because of blowout, but he did the best he could. That's like the only thing you can do is just do the best you can, and he did it with limited talent around him and put up 40 PRA. If we can just go back to that game log of the 76ers, not every one of these teams is a juggernaut, right? Dallas is not great on defense, and they put up 133 points. They just went toe to toe with Philadelphia on that Saturday night. Obviously, Milwaukee's a much better team than Portland, so this score isn't as surprising. But this is the score that really caught me off guard when I saw that total, that final total. I mean, Indiana put up 143 points. And looking where this production came from, Tyrese Halliburton, 40 and 16. Those are Damian Lillard kind of numbers. I'm not going to talk myself into Damian Lillard right now. I'm not going to talk myself into Dame at 10:49 p.m. the night before. All I'm saying is this is a spot that Damian Lillard could, repeat this kind of performance. It's just something to think about right now. Super early look into Dame's points, into Dame's points, rebounds, and assists. But I think one mistake that I made in the last game is that I didn't dig into the points, rebounds, and assists. And instead of going and looking deeper into what Dame's singular lines were, I went and rolled with his PRA, which was a very high number. We'll see what the odds look like tomorrow. We'll see what the research brings us tomorrow. Something I've been really trying to do lately, especially as we wind down the regular season, is really referencing the standings in the NBA and just identifying which teams have the most to play for right now. So we look at these teams down here at the bottom, these teams that are kind of being lumped into this play-in spot mess down here. Wizards and Hawks continue to be in this must-win mode, as do the Raptors. So being that the Wizards are already on the board, taking a look at some of their props tomorrow, Wizards versus the Atlanta Hawks. These two teams, like, only one can win. Somebody has to win this game, and the team that wins is going to, the team that wins this game, if the Wizards win this game, they would need Toronto to lose so that they can jump them, having one loss less than the Raptors. And if the Wizards the Wizards win and the Hawks lose, I mean, they're really just going to be in a tie for the AC now. So it's super important for the Wizards to win this game, as is the Hawks. So what do we think about Trae Young's points tomorrow at 25.5? Bradley Beal's points at 24.5. Let me take some of these Dame Lillard stats off the board. Bradley Beal's points at 25.5. Even looking at Trae Young's assists under 10. I think anytime we can see his assist line under 10, I don't want to say a steal, but it's a good value, to be honest. Capella just had a terrible game last outing. Do we want to go back to him? Listen, this is another opportunity where rather than looking at his PRA or fantasy points or his rebounds and points, he's been consistent at hitting his point prop. 3 games in a row, he's hit this, 4 out of his last 5. Is there something here with Clint Capella over on his points? Don't hate me just for mentioning this. Don't hate me just because I'm talking about Clint Capella. Those are just some early looks into the slate. Players that are kind of standing out to me. Porzingis had a monster game versus Atlanta. Do we see it again? Do we see this again? I mean, as we're looking at this, do we think Porzingis comes out and scores 43 points again versus the Hawks? If he regressed to his average in that 27-28 range, I mean, that's still over his point prop today. Got the Spurs and Nuggets down here. Yo, Zach Collins has been crushing it. Got a tough matchup in front of him versus Jokic, but it might be worth the shot taking a stab on his points or even his fantasy points once we get a line for that. If we get his fantasy points under 30, I think it's definitely worth considering. Anything over 33, 34, maybe not so much. Maybe not against the Denver Nuggets. Against the Rockets or something, yeah. Oh, look at that. Now we got some Lakers and Raptors. So Anthony Davis is also another target for us on this slate tomorrow. 28.5 points versus this Toronto team. The way he's playing right now, I think that's too low. Listen, fingers crossed. I feel like every time I start to come back around on Anthony Davis, he breaks a fingernail or something. I know I had a lot of discouraging things to say about him a week or so ago, about him not being able to carry this team in the absence of LeBron, and he's doing it. So I was wrong. I think it's worth looking into his stats tomorrow, digging into his numbers and seeing if this is a good matchup, and consider adding that to one of our slips for sure. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Super early look into tomorrow's 6-game slate. We went over some defensive rankings over each game. We took a look at some possible plays tomorrow, things that stand out to us the night before. Dame Lillard, points, rebounds, and assists, and also just his points, 32.5. Trae Young over points, or not over, but just Trae Young points. Bradley Beal points. Trae Young assist. Do we have the cojones to go back to Clint Capella points? Maybe points and rebounds. I don't know. And then Kristaps Porzingis really looks good. I think he's in a good spot tomorrow. And where's Anthony Davis? Let me throw him in there too. We're already full. Sorry, AD. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for tonight's video. Truly appreciate the time you've taken to stop by the channel, check this out, and just talk some NBA player props. Super early look into tomorrow's 6-game slate. Drop me a comment below letting me know if you have your eyes on any prop at the moment. Obviously, the board isn't full, but if you have locked anybody in, let me know who that player is in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for all the support, the likes, the subs, the comments. They truly mean a lot in helping this channel get a bit bigger every single day as we march on towards hitting 3,000 subs. It's so awesome. Thank you once again. And until tomorrow's final look video, Chavez is